everybody. Welcome to Build. I am your host, Ricky Camilleri. Rampage was one of the most successful video games in the 1980s, and now it's a movie with, you guessed it, The Rock. And our next guest, Malin Akerman, who is also one of the stars of the hit Showtime series, Billions. For now, let's take a look at the trailer for Rampage.
I rescued George when he was 2 years old. He's not just a friend. He's family. Don't move a muscle.
Are you crazy?
No!
Don't move!
Okay. Very funny. You and I laughing at your joke. New guy, he no laugh. He cry. You can get up now.
And check your diaper. Come on. Let's go.
Got your message about George. You okay?
I don't know.
George? It's okay.
Is Amir, is he considerably bigger?
No, he's definitely bigger. I need to find someone who knows exactly what the hell this thing is.
I found her. No, that's a lie. Technically, she found us.
What's happening to my friend?
Are you familiar with genetic editing? Changes will be incredibly unpredictable. Increased strength,
George!
speed, agility.
No!
Try to sales and change, they can't run.
Where's George? I need to see him.
He is dangerous.
I think it's time for me to turn the mill around.
We're gonna die!
Probably!
We've created the next chapter in natural selection. Project Rampage works.
You got another one of your little science experiments running around.
What do you mean another one? Incoming!
Sound the alarm, it's time to cross the line.
Of course, the wolf flies.
Stop me, oh, somebody stop me. Stop me, please, somebody stop me. Stop me, oh, somebody stop me.
It's time we throw everything we can at these things and get people the hell out of that city.
Let's go save the world. That's a big arm. Don't fight it.
You know there are other ways of dealing with people, right?
I do know that, yeah, but that's no fun. George? You okay? Ready to do this, buddy?
Everybody, please welcome Malin Akerman. Hey.
Hi.
My first question, and I want to talk all about Rampage, but my first question when it comes to working with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is when you
The
first...
up-and-coming actor?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
little-known actor.
Little-known actor.
Character actor, plays quirky little roles
Yeah,
in
yeah,
movies.
that one.
When you first meet him, are you like, how am I going to treat this person like a normal person in front of the camera? Because he always plays like a normal guy, but he's gigantic.
He's like a superhero kind
Yeah.
of in real life. The thing about Dwayne Johnson, though, is that he's everything that you expect. He is like a big teddy bear when you actually meet him. You know, I think he's been so good at being transparent with all his fans about who he is and what he is, and that's really who he is. I mean, he is so lovely. So when you do meet him, all of your sort of fears or intimidations go away right away because he just makes you super comfortable. He's big. Don't get me wrong.
Do you ever want to add a line though when you're in a scene with him that's just sort of like, well, you know, because you're massive.
Yeah, you do kind of want to all the time. I mean, it's it's so funny because it's a big film with a big gorilla and a big rock. You know, it's just like everything is big. Everything is supersized. So it's perfect. This is perfect for Dwayne.
How does he I mean, he's number one on the call sheet for something like this. I imagine he's in most scenes. How does he sort of run the set? How does everything sort of feel and work around him?
You know, I only had 2 days with him because in this film I play the villain, so we're not really friends. And he's the good guy, of course. But when I did
have an interesting twist, he could be the bad guy after.
He could be. Oh, did I give it away? No, he's lovely. I had 2 days with him, and he is, he comes to set. He's got so much charisma. I mean, he just charms everyone and is super positive and lovely, and he creates such a great vibe on the set. He's worked with the director before many times, and he's worked with the producer, and he himself is one of the producers. So it's pretty relaxed. Like, I think everyone is super chill because there's that trust and that relationship that's already built, so we can just come in and play.
What was it like to get the chance to play a villain?
It was awesome. Everyone loves to love the bad guy, you know.
There's a lot to chew on when you get to play the villain.
There is a lot, and there's a lot to sort of throw away. You can throw away any care in the world. I mean, she's completely devoid of any empathy towards anyone, and that's really fun because in real life, I like to think that I have a lot of empathy, but it's just like a freeing feeling where you're like, you can do and say whatever you want. And
I think you should say, like, she has no empathy, and I felt so comfortable doing that. It's just like me.
Yeah, I
Ride
just
with
slipped
that
right
press
into it.
tour.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd have some good headlines at that point. But it was wonderful. I really like playing a villain. It's so juicy to like bite into something that is nasty.
Have you played a villain before? Excuse me for not knowing.
I haven't, no. And yeah, you're an a-hole for not knowing that.
Like
I'm
running through
just
your
joking.
IMDb in
like
my
the
brain.
sweetest guy ever. No. I haven't played it. It's the first time playing a villain ever for me.
How did it go, sort of getting cast for that? Like, what was the process like, you know, figuring out that you could do that?
I didn't know if I could do it, and was called in, did an audition, and then they sort of liked the audition, and I flew into Atlanta to do a work session with Brad Payton, who's the director. And he was lovely, but we probably did a work session for a good 2 hours, going through all the different scenes and trying to find the character, and he just thought I was too smiley. Even when I wasn't smiling, I was like, but I'm not smiling. He goes, yeah, but you're smiling with your eyes. And I'm going, how? I don't even know how to not do that. So it took a minute to find her, for sure. And, you know, I think that's always the true test, is sort of going in for the audition to prove to yourself as well as the director that you can do this part.
How did you change your eyes? There? Oh, okay.
Right? Did you see that? Yeah. No, that was terrible. That's called terrible acting. But it ended up great. He was happy, I was happy, and then you go into it knowing that you somewhat know that you can do this character and you have an idea of who she is and what you're doing. So it's actually more settling to be able to have had a work session with the director before even going in on the project.
So did you figure out like what made him think of you in terms of playing a villain, or how that ended up being the case?
No, I never
Do you not
dove
ask
that
those
deep. I
questions?
don't really want to know why.
You just don't really want to ask those questions, right? It's
Yeah,
kind of a weird
that
thing.
would be terrible if you found out that he just.
As soon as an actor asks a director, like, what made you think of me? They're just like, oh, give me a break.
Well, they're always really nice. They're like, because you're a great actress. And you're like, that's such a lie. Someone told you a story.
Stop fishing, actor. Just do the job.
No, he didn't. We never had that conversation. I never thought to ask that question, actually. But funnily enough, he had never seen Billions, which is the closest to any sort of evil character I've ever. She's not evil, but she's a powerful, sort of hard woman. The director had never seen that, so he'd mostly just seen some comedy stuff, which is probably why he was gung-ho on bringing me in and making sure that I could do this, possibly.
Do you feel like having done Billions the past couple of years helped you with your character on Rampage?
Yeah, definitely.
Even though she's definitely not a villain, but
No.
she is a kind of
She's
straight up capitalist, which can be
yes, she
villainous
is.
in many ways.
And she's quite cutthroat, and that helped with this character as well. I mean, this woman is she's power hungry, money hungry. She takes it one step further and sort of wants to rule the world. But yeah, definitely having played Lara on Billions has been a nice precursor to this character. It just gets you into that bitchy mode, you know? Yeah.
Is Lara bitchy to you think?
She's not. She's just a powerful woman. But what then translates sometimes is that that's a bitch if you're
People who are
if
scared
you're
of
strong.
powerful women.
Exactly. Which I don't think. I think she's just an independent. She's street smart. She comes from a blue collar family. She's not afraid to say what's on her mind, and she really fights for what she believes in. And if you get in her way, then she'll cut you.
Now, with Rampage, I know you're the villain. Did you get to take part in any of the sort of big action sequences? And usually the hero fights the villain at the end of the movie. Do you and The Rock fist fight?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to give away all the juicy parts. Who do you think would win, me or The Rock? Guys,
I put my money on you.
don't be honest. Just tell me. I have a great scene that is sort of requires some physical activity, but I didn't have much. I was sort of the mastermind behind everything. That part's really true to real life, where I'm really highly intelligent, mastermind.
the mastermind
Yeah.
behind
That's
everything?
probably why he hired me, actually. No, but the physical stuff was mainly Dwayne and Naomi Harris. They had a lot of helicopter scenes and airplane scenes. I had one scene where I had to do some wire work. But I can't tell you without giving away a really great part.
But
So
you're used to action. I mean, you did a lot of action in Watchmen, and you've done a
did.
fair amount before, right?
I did. That was 10 years ago.
So you were a little, did you
So
feel a little rusty going
a
into
little
it?
rusty, but super. I love that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that you don't get to do every day. I mean, to get hoisted up on a wire 10 feet above the ground is super exciting for whatever reason. But it's just. I showed that video to my son, and he's almost 5 years old. And no wonder he doesn't want to go to school. He wants to come to work with me because, you get
Wait, which
to
video? The video of you on wires?
on wires.
Rampage?
Yeah, I showed him. I was like, "Look what Mom did at work today," and he's like, "That's your work, and you send me to school to sit at a desk? So not fair." But yeah, I love that stuff, and I have done a fair bit of it for at least in Watchmen. That was like a 6-month shoot.
Let's switch it up to Billions, because I think Lara has a pretty cool storyline this season. There's a lot going on, and I feel like a lot more is going to happen. You won't tell me anything. That's what I was trying to pull out of you in the green room. But
Yeah.
let's take a quick look at a clip from this season and then talk about it.
I am not hiding. I'm not cowering. I'm not defeated. I have to dominate.
So why the hesitation? Fear?
Rage. Let's just look at where I am. Indicted, thanks to your husband.
We are home and we are a we again.
What he did, it's a fucking crime.
Maybe, but it's not a defense.
Give up trading till the case is over. Let them trade for you.
Action moves closer to prison, and order is restored in the universe.
You got some morph in you, which is why you're not getting fired. Not quite yet, anyway.
When it comes to billionaires and Bobby Axelrod in particular, they're meat eaters. The only win they can live with is total.
I want you to remind him what happens to guys like him when they take this big a swing and miss.
He expects to get all of it, everything.
Brutal.
I needed total loyalty. I got less than that.
The money, Bobby. Just don't lose it.
You're telling me that you and your wife have no secrets?
I'm certain some are still lurking.
You shouldn't call me like this.
I know.
The people out there don't know who they're looking to. Since it can't be you, it needs to be me. You won't fall below the hard deck.
Your ego just wrote a check your body can't cash.
Are we all on the same side?
Yes, of course. But no, not really.
You threaten everything by your presence here.
You know what I risked to get him. What would he give to get me?
Whoever you're trying to destroy, stop.
What has the stronger pull? Fear or money?
Season 3,
Yes.
back.
We're
not
back,
with Not
baby.
with Bobby this season.
Not right now.
And in the last episode, you had a scene where Bobby tells you if things don't go his way in court, you could be left with only a certain amount of money, which you have a hard time saying like whether or not you could live with that. Now, how much was that again?
It was only $300 million.
Really tough.
That's tough, right, guys?
Not sure how anybody lives
that's
like that.
Food stamp stuff, right?
And it would be split between the two of
insane.
you, so you get 150
million. Now we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's but she even comments on that where she goes, "Wow, I can't believe I'm about to say this," because they come from, middle class families, and for her to say, "I can't believe I'm going to say this," that 300 million just wouldn't be enough, just shows you the magnitude of what type of life they're living.
They're evil. I'm sorry, that's evil.
Hey, I'm not defending her. I know it's crazy, but it gives you a little glimpse into the top 1%. It's like that's the kind of money that those people are dealing with. so many people. It's like, well, 10,000 is nothing to you. Can't you just like hand it out to a few people around?
No, we hand it back to them in tax breaks.
Totally, we
Sorry.
do. Yeah. It's such a good system.
Working out wonders.
Works out great, guys. It's super equal and fair. But yeah, it's a great show to be part of. But it is really strange to think that there are people who live this way, and their overhead, is like $1 million a week or a month, or that they can go out and go buy a jet today, or it's just it's a whole other world.
Now, I feel we're three episodes into this season, and I feel like I'm gonna do this again. We're setting your character up to sort of go to battle potentially with Bobby. Is that the case?
Is that what you feel like?
I do. Or either that, or kind of get back together with him in some way.
Could be either,
I would
couldn't
like
it?
to see a
It's
battle.
50-50. I can't give that away. I know you tried backstage too, but I'm not going to give it away. I can't. It's good, is all I can say. It's just it's a good season, and it's what you would expect from Billions. There's so many twists and turns that you don't expect. Even for us, when we go and we do table reads, and because we never know from episode to episode what's going to happen.
Do you guys do a full table read together for each episode?
Yeah, so at least, even though we don't all get to act together because we're on two teams, sort of, at least we get to see each other every other week at the table read and check in. And I mean, it's awesome when you sit at a table read with all the actors around the table. I wish we had cameras filming that, because everyone is brilliant. It's so cool to watch it all come together. Because you don't get to, we get little bits and pieces with one actor.
Going into the third season, sort of pulling your character away from Bobby a little bit and the workings of what's going on with Bobby. What did you think when you started getting those scripts? When they started kind of divorcing you and putting you?
I was pissed.
Really?
You know what I was mad about? I wasn't pissed. I was so glad that they weren't back together all of a sudden after what Bobby did to her. At last episode of the last season. I was like, it's gonna be a long, hard road back, because he really deceived her in the worst way. There was a few things leading up to it, but I was kind of jealous or mad, or like, that he, in the first script of the season, had another woman in his apartment. I was like, wait, you get over me that fast? That was quick. But yeah, I've just hearing from fans and audiences, they love those two together, and that's sort of what made them root for them a bit more, because they made a good team, and you saw sort of the family loyalty and values in a different way. And now it just feels like I hate that that's lost. I kind of want to see them back together, because they make a good team. A good team for evil.
I'm a big fan of her rebound here, her Jerry O'Connell rebound.
Oh, I see. Yes, we do love Jerry O'Connell, don't we? He's a good man. He's awesome. I mean, not in this, but none of them really are.
But what I love about him in this is that he has such a good face, and we've known Jerry O'Connell for just being like a good guy in the industry for so long, that having him play anything close to nasty is such a change of pace for him, I imagine.
Totally it is. It's just kind of more that douchey, it's like that pompous guy. But he does it well. He's a good actor, that's all I'm saying. And he's so lovely. We were just saying, he's like this big puppy dog that's just so sweet and so ready, and it's like he's ready to go fetch all the time. He's like, what's next? And couldn't be more hard on. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and just couldn't be more different than any of these characters, really.
When you go into a new season of Billions, do the writers sit down with you, or the creators of the show sit down and talk about the arc of your character, or is it all kind of new for you per script?
A little bit. It depends. I mean, for this season, they really weren't sure how they wanted it to end between Bobby and Lara, so that was sort of hard. When you don't know the trajectory and where it's going to end, you have to try to sort of nuance every scene so that it could go either way. But for the most part, they have an idea of sort of a little bit of your arc, and it's just sometimes the storyline is where they're still unclear. So you get a little bit of an idea, but it's usually just for the first few episodes, and then and then they're still frantically writing, trying to put it together.
Where would you like to see her go?
I would like to see her kind of pick up the pieces and do her own thing for a minute and show everyone that she can live on her own and make her own, you know, pick up and create her own business and take care of the kids, and that she's someone that really is an equal, and perhaps see him fall apart a little bit without her, because I feel like their partnership was like Lady Macbeth behind the scenes pulling the strings, and I want to see him fall apart a little bit because he chose not to have me around.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who has a question?
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing? Big fan of Watchmen, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
My son loves you, by the way.
Good.
So I was reading that in Canada, the Canadians call you the Canadian pride, and in Sweden, it's my Swedish girl.
Yes.
So I just wondered, when you're back in Sweden, do they know you for the work that you've done in America, or have you ever done any Swedish films or TV work?
Interesting that you asked that just now, because it's all been from all the American stuff that I've done, and the few Canadian shows. No, I don't even think they went over there. But I just signed up to do a film in Sweden, my first Swedish film. I'll be shooting it this summer. I'll be singing and dancing and speaking Swedish. So this will be a really big challenge and super exciting, but also the first time ever.
How did that come about?
That was a director who approached. I have a Swedish agent. I've been looking for a Swedish film to do for a while now, but it just hasn't panned out, either because I've been busy or just not the right scripts. And then this director reached out with the script, and my agent sent it over. I read it, and I loved it. And I happened to be in Sweden last summer and met him, and we just it just clicked. The timing was right. The material was right.
Will this be the first time you'll be singing and dancing on screen since
Rock of Ages?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous, not only to be singing, but thank God it's in a studio so you can tweak it with auto-tune. But also, you know, it's a comedy, and the cadence and rhythm of comedy is so important, and the timing. And I remember,
you're kind of old hat at that. I mean, you've done
but
comedy
in
for
a
a
different
while.
language. It's
Oh, yes.
it's amazing how it shifts all of a sudden. I went and did the table read with the Swedish cast, and I bombed. It was so not funny. Just went, God, I have such a long road ahead of me, and it'll be fine. It's more just, you know, getting familiar with the vocabulary, and I haven't ever read in Swedish. I've only been speaking it with my family, so that's different too. And learning it, it'll be an adventure, and it'll be a challenge, but hopefully a fun one.
Next question. Who's that? Oh, right there.
Hi.
Hi.
I've been a big fan of yours since Watchmen, and also Harold Kumar Goes to White Castle.
Yeah.
And so my question is, there's been a lot of, superhero movies? I was wondering would you go back and do another superhero movie? Would you play the villain, or would you play a superhero?
Ooh, definitely a superhero that doesn't wear latex or high heels.
Everybody from Watchmen always talks about that must have been the worst latex shoot for any superhero movie.
Yeah, it was. Well, wait a second. Nobody else wore latex but me.
Just you?
Yeah.
Oh,
But they were in foam outfits. So they were boiling hot and I was freezing cold. And it was highly uncomfortable. It's like, no, I'm not going to say what it's like. I was just going to go someplace that I shouldn't. But I would definitely do another superhero film. I thought it was awesome and so much fun. What was the other part of your question?
Villain or superhero?
Oh, villain or I would love to play the villain. I just think, but like a real character. Like I love something like Catwoman, you know, just really more of a character than in this one. I loved playing Claire Wyden, and she does have her last scene in the film is really great, but I would love to go even deeper into a villainous character.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi.
You.
Hi.
So you got to play characters like both in comedy and drama. I was wondering which one was the most hardest for you to do?
I feel more comfortable in comedy and making a fool of myself than I do in drama and trying to get emotional. I don't know how. I have so much respect for theater actors, for instance, who 8 times a week literally pull their guts out and have these emotional scenes over and over again. I'm way more afraid of the drama, but that's also why I want to do it, because it's challenging and it makes me feel alive and essentially makes you grow. But I love going back to comedy and just being silly, and especially physical comedy. I really, for whatever reason, really feel comfortable doing, pratfalls and all that kind of stuff. But there's not really one that I love more. They're both very different and happy to do either.
What would you say has been your toughest moment on screen?
Any emotional moments are really tough. There's almost that fear. There's a weirdness of, I guess there's, in life you try to be strong, or I do anyway, and I've always tried to pick up the pieces, and there's a lot of rejection in this business, and so you build up this wall, so that to then tear that wall down that you've built up for so many years and be vulnerable in front of a whole crew, and it's silent, and you're the only one, and you can hear yourself crying. It's a terrifying feeling. It feels really vulnerable and really awkward, and also very freeing afterwards and cathartic. But yeah, I think whenever there are emotional scenes, it's also the stakes. I don't want to mess it up because there's such beautiful scenes ahead, and you just really want it to turn out well. But as in life, you just don't know when you're gonna cry or when you're gonna feel something. And you hope that I would never want to fake cry. You just hope that it all comes to fruition and that you get to that place. So that's always the most terrifying for me.
Do you ever fake cry though?
Yeah. Bring on the tears, guys. Yeah, but usually the fake crying
Take
then
three,
leads to they never use that part ever. Then they cut to someone else. But usually that leads to the real stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You start with a fake thing and then
Yeah,
start pulling
exactly.
it out.
Somehow it's just, or what I've learned works for myself is let out a really big scream and a frustration, and that just kind of shocks me, and my body just goes, "What's happening?" And then you're in a weird, vulnerable place. So all these little tricks,
The life of an actor is so strange.
Strange, yeah.
So much stuff like that, like screaming, and then you have all these technicians around you.
Yeah.
Who
they're
never
going,
who are
what
like,
is
"What you
That's why
doing?"
no one ever wants to hang out with the actors. Like, what are they doing now? Breathing upside down? Okay, cool.
Listening to their headphones and punching the wall before they have to get on set.
Yeah, it's all the prep.
So Rampage is in theaters this week,
This
right?
Friday, yeah.
This Friday.
Yes,
And,
it is awesome, you guys.
Billions is on Showtime Sunday nights at 10. We're 3 episodes in, so got really a whole season ahead of us there.
We do.
And it's fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens with Lara and with your character.
Yes.
Everybody, please give a round of applause for Malin Akerman. Let's hear it.
Thank you.